Well, baby, I'm on it with a bottle of wine and an old dirt road. Are you ready to go? Today on Live Music Nation podcast, I'm your host, Jake Gill. Today we're with Margaret Norwood from the Vintage Theater in Aurora, Colorado. We were just talking about California. I almost said California. So thank you for joining us this morning, Margaret. How are you?
I am great. Thank you. How are you doing?
Good. Give us a little background on you. Where'd you grow up and how did you get into theater administration?
I grew up in Fort Collins, Colorado, and then I did my undergraduate in Nebraska, my graduate degree in Illinois, and then moved to Washington, D.C., did some theater out there, then moved to Brooklyn, where I spent about 7 years doing theater out there, and then moved back into the Denver area. I had produced a feature film and was working in film production, taught at the Colorado Film School for a number of years. Was doing film production. When I got back into the theater, an actor and director in the theater, done some writing as well. And I was on the board of directors at Vintage for a number of years and have just been made the interim executive director there. So through all of the production management stuff, through film and education and all, it was a really good match for the kinds of work that we were doing at Vintage.
Gotcha. Tell us a little bit about the Vintage Theater. Give us a little background on it, and then tell us what kind of entertainment you provide.
So Vintage Theater was founded in 2001 in Denver on 17th Street, and then became a nonprofit in 2006, moved to the Aurora Cultural Arts District, which is along the Colfax corridor, in 2012. We have two main theatrical spaces. We have a 164-seat theater that does sort of bigger shows, more musicals and that kind of thing. And then a smaller theater that's about 50 seats. And that does smaller shows, more straight theater, kind of more challenging, can be more challenging stuff. And then we also have a cabaret space. So we have a cabaret space and a bar. And so we have lots of different kinds of offerings. We do educational stuff, we do some touring, we try to diversify sort of as much as possible.
Okay, so theatrical performances, children's musicals in general. Do you host any other types of events, live music? Do you do any classical performances, any comedy performances?
Not at this point, although the cabaret space is kind of open to a number of different kinds of performances. We tend to go into sort of musical theater cabaret. We do have some comedy, we have some drag shows, we have some, we haven't done, it's not a great space for bands, say. It's a little small for, say, a full band, but it's pretty flexible in terms of piano bar or that kind of
sure.
Space. Yeah.
Very good. So I'm assuming, being that you're in Colorado, COVID and the restrictions kind of extended a little bit beyond in your state than some of the others. Are you guys out of that? Mask mandates, things like that? How's that?
We are out of mask mandates. We still have a lot of patrons that choose to mask, and that's there's always a when you're in a small theater, that has of course been a challenge, and we did have to completely shut down all performances for about a year. We were able to sort of keep paying our people and keep going due to individual fundraising that our patrons were unbelievably supportive that year because they really wanted us to survive. So we have a huge debt of gratitude toward them, and some both governmental grants and foundation grants that sort of helped us through that time, so that as we open back up and as our ticket sales come back up to regular levels, we've been pretty stable despite the overhaul, but it was definitely
you are a nonprofit, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
What are your active fundraising campaigns? What are some successful campaigns that you have done? I know you mentioned a lot of grant writing, but beyond that, where are you at fundraising wise?
Where are we at? We do a lot of individual donations. We count a lot on the people who enjoy our shows being donating to the program.
How does that work? How does that work? Do you keep them in an email database and kind of let them know of your needs?
Yeah, well, we have a weekly email blast that we send out to people, and so we're in sort of constant contact with our patron base, and especially during the pandemic, we were trying to offer as much as we could some online content, and people were very supportive of that. Would see shows that we could do on a smaller scale and record, and so they're always sort of aware of what's going on. As we're starting to reach out a lot more into the local community and working maybe with businesses and having some business support as well. So
yeah, very good. Where is your base of actors and actresses? Where does your base come from? Are they strictly local right there? Do you draw from over 30 miles away? Where's that coming from? We definitely pull just from the Denver metro area. We don't bring anybody in from, the big cities or anything. We're very much, we are a big city. Right.
But our actor base, I would say, doesn't go much further than about Evergreen. But so it's because Denver's a pretty sprawling area.
Sure. Sure.
But basically the Denver metro area is where we get most of our performers, designers, directors.
What about your youth and your children that are involved? Where are they coming from?
Mostly we try to focus our youth on the kids in the neighborhood. So Aurora itself is, I believe it's the most diverse population in the country.
Uh-huh.
We speak over 100 languages just in Aurora. So we try to pull our youth programming from the neighborhood itself to keep our resources sort of tight around the neighborhood and to provide those resources for the children in our neighborhood.
What type of outreach does your theater do into the community to pull people in?
We have been working pretty extensively with the Aurora Cultural Arts District. We just got a Colorado Creative Industries designation for the district. And we've been trying to work with the local arts communities that include visual arts and performing arts and music and different venues around in the district. We have a new thing that the Aurora Cultural Arts District is supporting called the Colfax Art Jams. We have a big thing on Saturdays that's a sort of big fun. Everybody comes and hangs out, and there's music and art and selling. Yeah, vendors, and it's been really fun and engaging with those community members, providing some space when they may need a venue to put something up, or trying to work with everybody in the neighborhood to support each other to move up.
Yeah, absolutely. What are your biggest challenges right now as a theater?
I would say our biggest challenge right now is, how do I put this, sort of pulling together, coming out of the pandemic, pulling together, looking at our facilities and what we can do to create a safe space for people, both emotionally and physically. We're working on some safety features like lights and security kinds of things. The neighborhood's going through some tough times right now, and so we want to make sure that patrons feel safe, that we're contributing to the community so that you sort of taking care of the people who are in distress around the neighborhood. And so I would say sort of our biggest challenge is coming back into the pandemic, getting our programming back online, getting all of those things lined up, and then also trying to really integrate with the neighborhood. And
so touch a little bit on what's going on in your community. What's been hard about this year for you?
Well, when the pandemic hit, there have been so many people who were displaced, and our neighborhood as such has always been one of the more sort of challenging neighborhoods. We've had a lot of people who've been displaced. Resources weren't there for people in the same way during the pandemic. We've seen an uptick in crime, like sort of all the way through the country, as people are sort of displaced and frustrated. And so, there's sort of an uptick in crime. There's often fewer services for cleaning or, neighborhood taken care of. And there's an organization that is now doing like neighborhood cleanup stuff.
Sure.
So, as we try to sort of make everything fun and beautiful and activated and
very good, very good. Well, I'm glad you guys are a part of that and can step in and be leadership in that role, and that's a great place for a theater company to do. As it goes through there. Very cool. Margaret, thank you for your time. Thank you for the update, how things are going there in the Denver suburb area and the metro area as well. So glad to see what you guys are doing, and glad to see that you're taking advantage of the grants and the things that are out there to keep the arts going, and especially the live entertainment component. So greatly appreciate your time, and good luck.
Well, baby, I'm on it with a bottle